Good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome, everybody. Hi, welcome to our community event for this evening on Thanksgiving, Paying It Forward, which is very fitting for me. I just celebrated Thanksgiving with my family yesterday, and we decided to do it early since we couldn't all get together at the same time. So we gathered from Baltimore, Brooklyn, and New Jersey and had a Thanksgiving dinner, and it was very nice. And I thought of this event yesterday. So we have an overarching question to launch our evening with. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asked a very philosophical question that you can ponder as the theme for tonight. And he asked, what is the good a person should cherish most? And I think everyone would probably come up with a different answer for that. So we're going to see how some of the great thinkers, including ourselves, will respond to this question. And we'll go to text 1, which is right here. And it says, what kinds of good? Kinds of good. The word good is tov. And Genesis said God saw that it was good. And then we had Yom Tov is used, Mazel Tov is used, Lev Tov, which means a good heart, and Yetzer Hatov, the good inclination. So I'm doing a little bit of translating as we go through here. And Mazel Tov, literally in good stars, in a good constellation. So Yom Tov, what you'd say on a holiday, wish somebody a good Yom Tov. So when you think of the word good, which you've now seen used in a bunch of different ways here, which of these comes to mind for you of the listings that we have? And anyone that would like to answer, you know that you can unmute yourselves and you can jump in. So which of those tovs might be one that you use a lot that comes to mind first?
I would
Ellie,
say
you're
Mazel
unmuted.
Tov because I do use it a lot because there's so many different times and places you can use Mazel Tov. The others are, Yom Tov is on a holiday, and the others are more, haven't got the opportunities that Mazel Tov has.
Thank you. Others, just jump in, unmute and jump in.
I try to use it when I'm expressing my gratitude for the day of what I'm feeling good about on the course of the day, of what's happened to me, around me, or that I helped happen.
Thank you. That's a great one. And Robbie, you had your hand up, and then Lisa.
Unmute. Okay. Well, one of the things I think about is that when God created the world, he said it was good, tov. What I find is that when I'm looking at nature, looking at people, looking out the window during services and seeing this gorgeous mountain with snow on top, I'm so grateful for God's creation and all that's beautiful on earth. I am a little sad, though, that we are not taking care of the earth the way we should be. But it was good.
Thank you. Lisa?
Just seeing the Lila Tov, I haven't really used that a lot and for a long time, because we only used it with the kids, when we were getting them ready for bed and getting ready to say the Shema and all of that. I don't use it that often anymore because I guess we don't have that type of routine. You don't have that relevancy anymore, but that doesn't mean that everybody shouldn't have a good night.
Yeah, that's a good one, which we didn't have on our list. So that's a great one. I was thinking of all the ones on our list, and I was thinking that Lev Tov, a good heart, is one that I never hear used. I mean, it's not a popular one. It's not a common one. And I'm wondering why, because I know so many people, when I'm talking about them in English, I'll say, oh, he or she has such a good heart, and like, why do I never think to really use that? Audrey?
I kept pressing the space bar to see why it wouldn't unmute. Sorry. Clever, I know. It's interesting because I agree with everything everyone said. I use Mazel Tov more than anything else. But the one that struck me was Lev Tov. And I always think of my cousin Carol of blessed memory, because our kids were approximately the same age. And she would talk about when kids, the friends come over and you're feeding them ice cream or you're giving them this or whatever. She always would use the phrase, give with a full heart. And I always said she was a good heart. She was a good soul. And I was thinking, while, you asked, jump in, whatever, I was ready to jump, couldn't figure out how, of course, that I should use Lev Tov more, because I think it's most important to have a good heart. And Robbie was talking about gratitude, and Norma was talking about gratitude. And I agree with everything that was said. And I think if you have gratitude, you should have a good heart. You should have goodness in your heart, because the only way to keep it is to give it away and to be a good human being.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody? Not hearing you.
Hear me?
Now, yeah, try again.
You can hear me. It's unstable internet. Just really now related to that good heart, and I haven't had the Hebrew word for it, but I'm learning now. I do. Thank you.
Thank you. And Julia, I don't know if your hand was up from before or just for the new question, but either way, go for it.
Oh, well, I just thought of Boker Tov and Lila Tov, because when I lived in Israel, those were the Tovs I heard the most. When we go to bed, and hopefully it'll be a Tov Lila.
Yeah. Yes. Well said. Well said. So good, what does good mean? You had a good day. This is a good person. It's a good holiday. What is good when you use the word good, which is probably like one of the most overworked words in the language that we have? And what does it mean? If something is good, what is it? In your mind, it doesn't have to be from the dictionary. I mean, what does it mean to you?
So I'll jump in again and just say that it can have multiple meanings, but one I'm resonating right now is just a positive feeling, a calm, a spiritual serenity. That's what's coming to mind right now.
Thank you. Others, what does it mean? A calm, a spiritual serenity. Nice. Robbie?
Optimism. You think about the good and not the bad. When you have a glass, is it half empty or half full? If it's half full, it's good.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else? What does good mean? We're having a whole evening talking about good. You should have something in your mind about what it means. Julia, your hand is up anew?
No,
Hi, girl.
is your hand up?
Yeah.
Would you like to talk to Papa? I'm at a study group. I'm learning.
Okay, we've got somebody who needs to mute up. Julia, go ahead.
I think good is what you want more of, and bad is what you want less of.
Oh.
And by you, I mean everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think there's a general consensus about some fundamental issues, not things like gun control, etc. But there is some fundamental consensus about what is good and what is bad.
Okay, nice. Oh, Norma.
I I know you said not the dictionary, but I pulled it out anyway. And interestingly enough, it's really hit home for me. Being positive or desirable in nature and having those positive or desirable traits for myself is something that I strive for every day. So that's what good is for me.
Mhm. So that which is positive or desirable. My screen keeps shifting, but Maya, and then I think Lisa, you're next after her.
Thank you. So I thought about that, like someone was just saying, I think it was Julia, about good being something that we could all agree on, or even good being something that's positive, and then or desirable. But I think sometimes about the things that I have wanted in the past, things that I've desired that weren't actually really good for me, like something that ended that seemed like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever, or a job that I didn't get or something like that. And then you realize, when you find out like it's Enron or something, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that that wasn't where I ended up, right? Like that's not specific to me, but just for example, sometimes I think that I'm set on like what I want or what I desire. And then when it goes the opposite way of that, I think of it as being negative or not that, but not, that's not always necessarily so, because I can't see the whole timeline at once. And a lot of times what I'm wanting and what I'm desiring ends up being, it's a good thing I didn't get it. Right. So
Ah, interesting. We've got Lisa, Lori, and Brenda all in a row. So go ahead, Lisa.
Just want, thinking back to the good day and the good night and, have a good lunch, hope your dinner was good. It seems like it's more thought of in a protective kind of way. Kind of like what Norma was saying, being good by nature, of natural view. I think most good people by nature want to have other people have good experiences, have pleasant experiences. So it just seems that it's like a blanket of, I'm sending out love to the universe kind of thing, if you really want to go there. But that's kind of what you're saying, have a good day, have a good week, have a good meal. So that's what I was thinking.
And as you said that, I thought about positive, that it would, for me, mean positive, among other things. Lori, please go ahead.
So I also, like Norma, went right to the dictionary, even though you said we didn't need to do that. But I looked at good as an adjective, something that we desire or that we have approval for. But good also as a noun, which is it listed as morally right. I think about people that are righteous, doing the good thing. But then I also really liked it as an adverb, like, boy, that food tasted so good. Your mom never cooked so well. And so I tend to live my life in what I describe as my happy bubble. And if there's a word that I overuse, it is the word perfect. That book was perfect. That vacation was perfect, right? And so I always try to look at the good. And even when things don't happen the way I want, I still stop and think, so what's the good I can get out of this horrible experience? So I really focus on that whenever possible.
Thank you. And Brenda, I see your hand, and Gracia, is your hand up too? Okay, after Brenda. Go ahead, Brenda.
Yes, I was in the Air Force 22 years, and I served all over the world, Australia, Vietnam, Korea, Kuwait. And I always tried to find the good in people, no matter how they treated me as an American. I never really told them I was Jewish. And I just tried to find the good, no matter who the people were, and tried to accept their way of living.
Thank you for that. I'm very thoughtful about what you said, and I'm sort of processing it as you said it, because it's a unique way of taking the word good and turning it in a very different direction from what we've been looking at.
God love
Thank you very
Brenda.
much. Thank you. Gracia, I think you were next, yeah? You have to unmute though. So we can hear you.
Here, okay? Do you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yeah.
For me, good means constructive. You know, something that you may not probably like, but it is the good thing because it is constructive. And what is bad is destructive. And that is the way that I tend to see the word good. You know, maybe something that is not pleasant, but is constructive.
So it could be something good for you.
Yeah.
You may not want to do it or have to do
No.
it, but it's good for you.
Exactly.
And interestingly, she puts as an opposite destructive.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting juxtaposition to think about too.
You do what you want and is destructive.
Mhm.
You do what you didn't want to do it, but is constructive, and that is good.
Thank you so much for that. I see maybe the hands are up from before, or these are new hand raisings. Lisa, is this new? It's an old one. Okay. So let's go forward a little bit more. Brenda, is your hand up a new or from the old one? The old one? Okay.
So I don't want to butt in, but for some reason, every time I put my hand up, it comes off. So I can't.
Oh, yeah, because I
don't know
haven't
why.
seen it.
Press
Sorry,
I know
Ellie.
you're not going to see it. It keeps deleting. I don't know why.
That's
I guess
weird.
it's not going to like what
Okay.
I say. I hate to go against what everybody has said, because I think everybody has, it's true what they say, what you've all said, but I think good can be a really overused word.
Yeah.
You know, good to me just means, you know, when you think of a report card from school, good is the middle of the road. It's not great and it's not a failure. It's just good. So I probably do use the word more than I think I do, but I just think it's a misunderstood, overused word. And I don't, if somebody said, gee, that was a good dessert. Yeah, it's good. I don't know if it means it was great or it wasn't great, or that was a really good speech. Somebody says that was a good speech. I go, yeah, okay. It wasn't great. And I tend to be a person who does look at a glass half empty rather than half full, which is probably why I'm saying this, but I just think it's an overused word. And I think we could use much better words. I like, of course, Laila Tov and Mazel Tov and all that, but in English, I think it's a misused word.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I have to just share something. My husband and I watch a video, you know, a series we've taken out of the library, DVDs. The series is called Doc Martin. It's British. It's hysterical. It's really just so funny. So we're watching the latest episode that we have caught up to, and he gives his receptionist, who he's letting go because he's taking another job, you know, that's what's happening. And he gives her a recommendation. She asks for a job recommendation, and she reads the recommendation and she's like furious because he said she was competent. And competent, you know, and I'm thinking competent the way we're using good. It was like no good. She was so upset that he said she was just competent. She wanted to be better. She came back and said, I need you to change it. You need to redo this. Competent is like, had no value. And so I'm wondering, in listening to it, what everyone's saying, does good sometimes have no value because it's so overused that we have lost connection with it. It's like a filler. It's like an automatic response that has no depth to it anymore. So in listening to everybody's comments, I just was thinking about that. And I want to go to another quote because I want to make sure we have time to look at this quote, which is text 2 from Genesis. So I know that in this text, I'm wondering, we're looking at the first verse up there, and then we're going to go on. So would somebody want to read, let's see how we can do this. I think we should read the chunk of them. It's hard for me to see them because the print is too small for me, but if somebody would like to.
Would you like to read? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Nina.
Yeah, so it says Genesis 1:10-31, but actually it's 10-13, which is Yom Shlishi. It's 16-19, which is a different day, Yom Revi'i. And then there's 31, which is the last day. So I'll start with God called the dry land earth and called the gathering of waters seas, and God saw this was good. Kitov. And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees, and every kind on earth that bear fruit with seed in it. And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with a seed in it. And God saw that this was good. Okay, so that's one day, two goods. And there was evening and there was morning, third day. God made the two great lights, the greater light to dominate the day and a lesser light to dominate the night and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth, to dominate the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that this was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. So we have one day with two goods and one day with one good. And then I just have to move my, I'm sorry, my things got in the way. Okay. And God saw all that had been made and found it very good. And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. So on the sixth day, it's not just good, it's very good.
Thank you. Thank you for being my eyes on this one. Appreciate it. So there has to be a difference because in the text, every single word has meaning in Hebrew text, you know, when we look at text. So this was good, but then it was found to be very good. And when God saw all that had been made, it was found to be very good, not just good. When you think of your own lives, do you feel a sort of a gradation of what is good to what is very good? And how would you sort of divide it, or how would you see the increase? Because this was no mistake. And we were having a conversation before the class tonight, Nina and I, and we were looking at the very good. And I was saying to her how my grandmother and mother, when I was throughout my whole life, would say, you know, if you're moving on a Yom Shlishi, you're moving on the Tuesday, because that wasn't just good, it was very good. You needed to move on a good day.
It was double good. I mean, there were two goods. There was no very good. Very good was
Yeah.
sixth day.
It was,
it
was,
was
you know,
good,
so it
and
was,
then it was good again.
right. So, you know, what does that mean? Why is it different from good? And I'm moving in a couple of weeks and I'm moving on a Tuesday. I got to tell you, I booked the guy. He was going to do it on a Monday. You know, whatever I said, you need to do this on a Tuesday. He, you know, could barely speak English. He was like, okay, if you need me to do this on a Tuesday, we'll move it. So, I mean, what does that mean to anybody? And I don't know if people knew about this particular Tuesday thing, but Lori, go ahead.
I think that a lot of those things are, you know, what's good and very good. I think it goes back to superstitions and the things that benefit us. So for instance, I will just say, when I go to Starbucks, I go on, and I probably go once every other week, and I make sure I go on a good day. To me, a good day is a day that there's double stars, right? So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a way that is beneficial. And if I have something that, for instance, my bubby said, always do it this way. So if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it in a way that connects me to an ancestor, because then it feels good to me. And same thing, if I'm going to go fabric shopping, I want to go on a day that I know is Customer Appreciation Star Day. I look for the extra benefit because I'm going to do it anyway. So I might as well feel like I'm doing it in a way that gives me a connection, right?
I have set a whole moving company, Lori. Hey, so you know, whatever goes, you need to do, you do. Julia?
Well, perhaps the Torah didn't have a real big vocabulary. Like we have words like fabulous, spectacular, awesome, wonderful, superb, terrific, etc., etc. And one of the things is that English is super rich language because we have both the Romance and the Germanic languages that we draw from. So it could be just a question, a linguistic situation of a somewhat limited vocabulary.
Mhm. To be considered, definitely to be considered and important. Norma? Whoops.
I have a question.
Go,
Was
yeah.
market day in ancient times, was market day and the day that the Torah was read on a Tuesday or a Thursday?
Monday and Thursday. Monday and
Thursday, okay.
Yeah. So we can't make there's not a link with that particular
Oh.
one. I don't know, other thoughts on, for you, how do you feel the difference between good and very good in the things in your lives? Or do things rarely get beyond good, that you use very good sparingly because it's something, quite special for you? Audrey?
I think it's relative to what you see around you or what you see outside of yourself or what you see in the world. And if I compare myself to millionaires, my life's pretty good. It's okay. If I compare myself to the majority of people living in the world today, my life is incredibly good. And I think that it's a very relative term.
Very nice. Thank
Change
you.
between good and very good.
And Robbie, yeah.
I'm not as familiar with Hebrew today that's used as the everyday language in Israel. So are there words in that language that are more explanatory than just good or very good? Do they have words? I mean, I think it's rich, like they've had to develop words for trucks and cars and flies, zvuv. I love that, zvuv. And so I think it's a how should we say, evolving language. So I just was curious about what other words for good. Do they have fantastic and gorgeous and, beautiful words?
Yeah, anybody want to respond to that? Nina, do you want to,
They've got sababa. It's like awesome. They've got, they've borrowed from different languages. Like there's a lot of Russians there. There's a lot of Arabic there. So yeah, there are new words to give different gradations of good, for sure. But you can't beat Tov. Tov is just classic, I think.
yeah. Okay.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
when I think Hebrew,
Nina, unmute.
Yes,
muted,
I'm
Nina.
sorry. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I lost connection for a minute. I don't know where I was just talking about that there are a lot of different words borrowed from different languages, and also that I like Tov because it's like classic.
Yeah, we've got someone who's not muted. If you could kindly mute, you've got talking behind you in your
Yeah.
home. Thank you.
Oh, it may be me.
Okay, if you could mute, thank you very much. So, I was thinking about these questions today because I always review what we're doing before we do it. And I looked at this question and I was thinking of how I choose my words. If someone says, so how was your day? Or how was that? Like I had said, we had Thanksgiving early and we got our family together and we had, my kids just went out of their way. They had a whole meal catered. It was delivered to the door with all the, the trimmings, everything. It was a spectacular amount of effort they put in. And if someone would ask me at the end of the day, how was the day? I might, without thinking, say it was good. But my inflection would be, it was good, but someone then might say, well, why wasn't it very good or awesome or spectacular?
awful and it was good, we'll say fabulous. Right?
So it
Maybe.
has to do with expectations.
I
pardon
think
me.
partly it has to do with expectations. When when something is good and we're surprised at how good it is, we'll use superlatives.
Or you might say, how was it? And I'm thinking, I thought it was going to be awful. It was good. But do you hear how it was delivered? I might have not chosen it was awesome, but I would say it was good. And that gave it to me a whole new gradation of good because of the way I chose to deliver the word.
The
Lori?
way I heard you say it, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I keep trying. I'm thinking the way I heard you just say it, it almost sounded like you were surprised.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perhaps.
And I don't know if that was what you were trying to portray, but to me, I would be like, oh, so she wasn't expecting much more.
No, yeah, I mean, I could see where you would say that. That wasn't my intent. I was like, oh, wow, it was good, but I think a lot goes in the delivery, which is what you're saying. And I think it's important to be aware of that. Lori, didn't forget you.
Okay. So when my birthday was last week and my wife said, we're going to do something special for your birthday. We're going to do it on Shabbat, and left it at that. And I was like, well, what are we doing? Are we going out? Where are we going? And I had a need to want to know, and she was not going to tell me. And when I got home from my swim class that Friday, Zabar's had delivered a frozen box from New York, and I had all my favorite foods as if my bubby had been cooking for days.
Oh, wow.
There was kugels and stuff, cabbage. I mean, it was like amazing food. And I said to her, this is really good. And then she just looked at me and I said, this is the best birthday. I mean, it was like, I needed to say a lot more than this was really good. I mean, and I could see the minute I said this was good, it was not good enough. I needed to really say how good it was. But I have to say, it was like the perfect kind of birthday, because not only was the food good, it invoked memories of my bubby's stuffed cabbage. The memories that come with that really enhanced the experience. And lots of our senses. Not only was it beautifully presented, the house smelled good, it was on Shabbos. I mean, all of the connections were wonderful.
And the thought that went into doing something really good for you.
Yes.
Really, I'll use the word special just so I don't overwork the word.
Good.
Audrey?
So what I started to say before was, when I took Hebrew in college a very long time ago, the professor told us that Hebrew, being a very ancient language, was not an abstract language, and most words had very concrete meanings. And perhaps that's the reason there's no incredible, fabulous, and momentous in Hebrew, at least not that I know of, and I am no expert by any stretch. So possibly that's the reason. And that is like when Nina said, the language has borrowed from so many other languages to have more modern words. Maybe it's developed more abstractions. I imagine it has had to. But the other thing I was going to say was, using the word good, it just makes me think of, in the game Canasta, 7 is a signal to your partner, but sometimes a 7 is just a 7. Sometimes you say good, and Rabbi, you said, it was so this, it was that, it was great, and you just said it was so good. Sometimes that's the word that comes to mind, but our intonation, like you said, does give us further information about how we're feeling. But sometimes a word is just a word. And what's going on inside my brain may be very much more intense than what I'm letting on, for whatever the reason might be.
Point well taken. Let's look at another quote, another text, which is it's text 3, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch, who says, think good and it will be good. Think about that. And how do we do that? Is thinking good enough to bring good into our lives? Think good and it will be good.
I speak?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I think this is very good, for lack of a better word. I think that you should not invite crap into your life. In other words, in more modern parlance, don't put evil stuff out there into the universe. I do tend to try to put good stuff out there. Don't invite troubles. And I'm a hypochondriac, so and Laura, you should be smiling about that. I am a hypochondriac. I get a headache and I know I'm going to be dying within the next 48 hours. I'm pretty bad about it, but I try very hard to temper that and to think of the good. To put good into the universe is a way to help repair the world. I really do think there are emanations and vibrations. By no means am I a chassid, but I do believe what their philosophy is a good one, good again, that you should be thinking good thoughts, sending good out into the universe to help make the world a better place.
And I would agree, because I think thoughts are energy. You know, the thoughts we put out into the world are energy, and we want to put good ones out there. Sorry, pardon me. Other comments?
Stephen has a
Norma,
comment.
I see you. Yeah, I see you. Sorry.
Stephen, it's not me, it's Stephen.
Go ahead, Stephen.
So think positive.
I'm not very.
It's
Think
the same. I
positive
mean, it's a,
and
but
you'll be positive.
yeah, think positive and you'll be positive. It's a, how do you put a positive spin or a positive reframe on something?
Yeah.
I mean, we had something negative happen today, and I thought to myself, I could be really like negative about this, or I can look at the positive, as Stephen was saying, and I can reframe this in a positive way. So this was clearly not a tragedy, but today we had the walkthrough on the house we're buying, and we're not in Florida, we're in New Jersey. So we designated a representative to go walk through the house and tell us if everything was, good. So he calls and he says to my husband, they removed the TV brackets from the walls, that the wall mountings, whatever they're called. And they were in the contract to have left them there. We needed them. And they said, fine, that was, they would leave them there. Well, they were gone. So we thought, oh, this is not a good thing. I mean, this is like, they're going to have to be, the walls are going to have to be painted. The brackets are going to have to be, we'll have to buy new ones and put them up. This is going to be like not a great experience. And it was heading downhill. I mean, it was not going in a good direction. And the closing is, tomorrow. So I said to him, I think this is really good what happened. And I was serious. I wasn't trying to like make him feel better. I said, this is really a good thing. Either we'll have the whole room will have to be repainted and they'll have to pay for the repainting. Or if they put the old brackets back, this will be fine. We'll have the brackets back and, they'll trim, fix the trim and it'll be all good. I said, either way, I think this can be a good experience. This literally just happened like 3 hours ago. And I was so proud of myself because I normally would have catastrophized and said, oh my God, this is awful. This is terrible. But instead, I was able to do what Stephen said was I found some good in it and I turned it and it worked out great. They're putting the brackets back tomorrow and, they're going to trim up around and you know what? I didn't have to go through the anguish and the agony of like thinking negatively and having it be a bad experience that colored my whole day. So I really put a lot of stock in this particular quote, probably more so today than I might have, last week, but it really taught me something. And I think, how do we bring good into our lives? We look at the experiences we have and see how to, in social work, we would say, how do we reframe them in a positive way? But how do we really think good about them? And then make them be good. And that was I had a real lesson today of learning. So I wonder if anyone would like to add, and I want to also throw in another quote here, which is, if you can't endure the bad, you will not live to see the good. And that's our next quote. So before I do that, Robbie, go ahead. Whoops, wait, unmute, Robbie.
There, I'm okay. The Dalai Lama said, be optimistic, you'll feel better.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's when you think good, it makes your day better. It makes your life better.
It's true.
That's
You
it.
don't have to drag that negative energy around with you that's going to slow you down and make your day heavy. And, when I chose to make this decision, but it is a choice, I said to myself, you could have a really crap day today and really be in the dumps, or you can just go with this and see what good you can find in it. And it was like a lesson for the lesson today. It was a really good learning experience. So I think, but it takes work because you can't go on automatic pilot, which my automatic pilot would have been, oh my God, look at what, this is awful, but it didn't go that way. So I'm wondering how to use these. If we put up the next one, the proverb.
Wait, before we do, I want to make a point. So the name of this community event is Pay It Forward. And when we talk about putting positive energy out there, it's not just to make ourselves happy, although it certainly helps, but you pay it forward and people around you are also recipients of that positive energy. So in a way, you're improving not just your own experience, but other people's experience as well. Okay, I'm sharing.
Next quote. Thanks. Oh, yeah, look at this. He who cannot endure the bad will not live to see the good. That is a tornado, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a proverb. And do you believe that bad helps us appreciate the good in life, and why or why not? And if bad helps us appreciate the good, how do we get through the bad to get to the other side? Norma?
I just saw an interview on the news of a woman who has survived Hurricane Ian in Florida.
Yeah.
And they showed the devastation around her. And she was being interviewed only because of a volunteer group that came immediately to bring food before FEMA and any of the other agencies got into place. And the guy who brought the food started to cry because she said to him, "Thank you so much for being so kind." And he broke down just sharing that information. Here, this woman has nothing but the clothes on her back. And she was able to share a positive thought and give this gentleman who brought this group of food down so that he was able, he said, it gave him enough food for a good energy so that he could continue doing what he's doing. And here, this woman is in the middle of chaos, with your wonderful whirlpool there, tornado, but she was able to see the good in the midst of what she was living in, literally a hellish situation.
Thank you, Norma. Bamaya and Julia?
And Grazia.
And Grazia.
Thank
I
you.
see you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really glad that Norma shared that because I was listening quietly because I'm struggling so much with real difficulties and trying to figure out how do I like reframe it positively and not let the bad things like drag down all the good. And it made me think that like my mom was in the hospital. She went in on Halloween and was in for over a week. And that and on top of everything else, it's just been really tough. But as I was leaving, unfortunately, trick-or-treating, because I have a kid that's that age, was just starting. And I hadn't been able to get out to get anything. And I was putting up a sign that says like family emergency, no candy. And my first trick-or-treater arrived. And instead of being like, oh, or disappointed, because this is a little boy that's younger than my daughter, maybe 10 or something, dressed like a taco. And he says, are you okay? Is everything going to be all right, do you guys need any help? And I just thought, oh my gosh, like it made me cry, and it's helped me get through all the time that I was thinking, like I felt like I was letting my daughter down, and my community down, and myself, and I was worried about my mom. But just to know that someone so young cared enough to not care about the candy, the whole reason you figure they're out there, but just to ask about how I was doing and if we were okay. I just we look at like paying it forward, like that to me felt so resonant, and I felt like it's still giving to me. Um, that's where the kids are at. So I'm like, I feel okay, like I'm ready to step out of the way and let them run with it, because that was very meaningful to me.
Thank you for sharing that. Julia, and then Brenda.
There's a wonderful book, you're probably familiar with it, The Empty Chair, Finding Hope and Joy, Timeless Wisdom from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. You know the
Yeah.
book?
I own the
So-
book. Yeah.
He has a whole chapter on leaving sadness, finding hope and joy. I'll just read one of them. If you don't feel happy, pretend to be. Even if you are downright depressed, put on a smile. Act happy, genuine joy will follow. And there's lots of good ones like that.
Yeah, I just held up the book, and maybe we can put it on our resource for people. Brenda, you were next.
3 years ago, my son died. He was killed in Afghanistan by an IED. And it was very hard for me to keep my faith. And because in Germany, I held his hand and he died with me holding his hand. But I came home and my rabbi, Stuart Federer, to help bury him, brought me back. And now I have my faith back, and I'm engrossed myself in the study of the text. So I found good out of the bad, and I thank God.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Thank you for sharing that. That was really very courageous of you to share with us, with all of us. Thank you, Brenda. We have one final, it's a song actually to share. And I'll let Nina handle the how we do that, because I can't do the technology. But it is a song that I think people have heard before, and we wanted to, in sort of taking Thanksgiving, the holiday, into our thoughts, share this song and see what it brings up for people. I'm sure people have heard this song before. Muted.
Yeah. As I play this song, when we decided to play this song, I said to Reb Deb, I bet everybody has a memory that goes with this. So I hope that everyone will share the memories. I'll play a bit of it. We can share our memories, and then we can play the rest of it while we finish. I'm going to start by telling you that there's a superstition when you rename your boat. You have to have a ceremony. We looked up the ceremony on the internet. It's not Jewish. It involves a lot of alcohol, basically. Pouring the alcohol in the water, drinking the alcohol, giving the alcohol to Neptune. Anyway, so I think at least maybe two of my kids were here, my middle daughter, and we did this ceremony, and all of a sudden we're done with it, and she starts singing this song. So, and it's not the kind of song you'd expect to do when you're renaming a boat. That having been said, I'm going to share it with you. Everyone please mute except me, because if there's like any little sound, we lose it. I'll share a little bit, the words are with it, and then I'll stop so that we can share some more.
Mazel tov, congratulations, and good luck. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael. Yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Siman tov, mazel tov.
So let's have some fun sharing our happy memories. Deb, you're muted.
I'm muted. What does this song bring to mind, Robbie? Sorry.
You're
She's muted.
too.
It's like a disease running through the Zoom room. The muting
Oh,
disease.
my kids' weddings. It
Okay.
was so nice. Oh,
So you have a memory from this song. Anybody else? What's your association with this song? Brenda, your hand is up. Is it up from before or with the song? I think from before, maybe. Bamaya, is your hand up from before or with the song?
With the song. So because this was not part of my growing up tradition, I remember the first time hearing it was after I converted. One of the groups that I regularly take classes with had their meeting that week after, and so had it like a dedication, and so they did this song for me at the end of our class, and it was really, really sweet. Like I just felt so welcomed into the community, and it was super special. So I'm like got a huge smile just thinking about it.
Thank you. Lori and Diana.
So many, many years of happy thoughts come when I hear Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. But last night, my wife, her son, so my stepson, they just had their first baby. And so I called her last night and I sang the first line of Siman Tov and Mazel Tov to her because she's going to be the nana and I will be the bubby. And it just felt so nice just to sing that to my wife. And
Nice.
and so to hear it in music today just brings, a little tear of joy to my eyes. So thank you.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. And Mazel Tov. Diana?
My daughter's bas mitzvah, and last year my daughter's wedding. Married a year already. I can't believe the year went so fast.
So that's interesting that two events are linked with the same song. I think of it from my daughter's bat mitzvah. I mean, both of my kids' bat mitzvahs, is the most one that comes to mind. Anyone else? A piece of this?
My daughter's bas mitzvah, the reception was in a Chinese restaurant, and the way that we hired the accordion player was that we were eating there one night, and he was playing on the other side of the restaurant. So we hired him immediately. So this way we had him. Yeah. So, yeah.
And Ellie's got her thumbs up. So that's good. Did you want to add? Muted.
There we go. For me, it's all the wonderful things. I mean, from my son's bar mitzvah to the weddings, to my son-in-law's conversion, to the brisses and the then baby namings. It just brings back, I loved it, Nina, you playing it, because it literally brings back all the happy moments that we've had. And Rabbi Deb, I want to say that what you just talked about with the brackets, that was like a light bulb moment for me. Like, I have to remember that. And I'm just going to keep thinking of you when I start to go down the ugly path. So thank you.
You're welcome. So Nina, do you want to play us out with this because we're at our end and it's a nice way to end?
Yes, I think I can play it in the background and we can also see each other still. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Well, everybody.